vocabulary. Vocabulary? Marriage. Thank you.
Wait, what's that? I don't know what that means. Yeah.
These two in holy match.
Marriage. Anyway, the word evaluate. What is the root of the word evaluate? Value. Value. It's something.
Oh wait, no. I thought it was leading to.
This means find the value. Find the value.
Find the vowels.
You find the value. Find the value. So when you have trig stuff, that means evaluate. Find the value of sine at 5 pi over 3. What's it equal? Well, 5 pi over 3, you have to spin yourself around to figure out what quadrant you're in by using your reference angles. So as you go through something like this, 5 pi over 3, it's almost 2 pi. How far are you off of your x-axis? 60 degrees. You're off 5 pi over 3. So if I'm off the 60 degrees, my reference angle is 60. In my triangle, opposite my 60-degree angle is always the root 3. Here is 1, and this is 2. Now, in this quadrant, my opposite value is my y value. In quadrant 4, isn't your y values in your ordered pairs negative? Yeah. Because it's moved down. So I know that the opposite here is negative. Sine is opposite of our hypotenuse. So what's the sine at 60 degrees in the fourth quadrant? That is the work to evaluate. You place it, you identify the reference, you plot it, and go. That's what evaluate means, guys. That's what it means. You have to do the steps. You have to build yourselves through. It's not the quick, write down an answer, use a calculator, figure it out, look in the back of the book, say, oh, that's how they did it. It's take a minute, build out of it, so that way you can identify what it is you're finding. When you do these things, they should take a minute or two to walk yourself through, because there's multiple parts to it. It's not a catch-all, be-all that every one of them is the same. All right. Granted, there's only 96 possible problems I can ask you. 3 angles, 4 quadrants is 12. 4 quadrantals, 16.
I don't get how you're getting any more than 16.
Okay. You have sine, cosine, tangent, 16 times 3. Double it, gives you all your inverses. There's only 96 total possible angles.
Only 96.
Only 96 of them. Obviously, you have reference angles, you have to bounce them back around. You can have multiple rotation. What's that?
Half of them share the same answer, don't they? Yeah.
So what happens here is the other form of problems that we were working with. Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you.
See you
He
later.
can't go.
That's problematic. It looks like he doesn't come. Oh.
Hey, knucklehead. Are you done
He
yet?
doesn't have to leave till
You have to leave at 2:25. Your conversation.
Yeah.
Oh, AJ. I said, AJ.
Oh, that's an issue. Yeah. Okay.
So what's that rule about?
We're moving on. Just do the math.
We're not very too sure of the math.
Some trig value to the -1. Or some trig. Those two words mean what is the angle that has. What this is asking you, what is the angle that has a sine value equal to 1. That's what that's asking you. When you have that inverse or trig theta of something, they mean the exact same thing. That's when you have to worry about your placements. That's when you worry about your placement values. Remember, your sine values, your values for sine, if you're trying to find a sine value of theta, is always going to be bound between pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. It doesn't waver from that. So when you're trying to find an angle, or what angle has a sine value that's 1, you're going to find it between 90 degrees and negative 90 degrees. That's your only possible angle values. You're not looking into anywhere else. When you work on cosine, your cosine values. Your cosine values go from 0 to pi. Oh, excuse me. Yeah. Between pi theta can be between 0 and pi, including 0 and pi. That's okay, 0 and 180 degrees. Your cosine values, that's how those work. They're encompassing positive x values, negative x values. Tangents, lastly, the inverse tangents, don't include pi over 2 and negative pi over 2. Oops, so I know it right. Because when you do just the basic idea of what tangent is, you're opposite over adjacent. When we wrote it out back in section 13.2, tangent was y over x. When you're on your quadrantals, yeah, this is 0 and 1. 1 over 0 is undefined. That's why you have an asymptote vertically there at pi over 2 or at negative pi over 2. That's how that works. Okay? The differences are subtle as you go through. It's just identifying what is the question asking you to be able to do. So when we went through all that stuff on Friday, the hodgepodge mess that it wound up being, we have quite a bit of work ahead of us over the course of these next few days. Obviously, we're missing out from classes and stuff, and it's going to be kind of a bit of a weirdo for the next few days. But I would like to be able to re-quiz some stuff Thursday. I can't go any further right now. I can't push ahead to the next section. I can't do any of the equation stuff. There's no reason to. Because this is an extremely important topic for you guys to really nail and square up what you're messing up here. Because everything we go and do from here on out is based off of these values. If we don't nail it now, it's going to be awful later. Okay? And then especially when you guys get into pre-calc next year, you really have to have a grasp on it. The idea of where this stuff comes from. And I don't know whether that was mine by not going into a depth as much as we probably should have on each problem, or giving you guys too much leeway. Whatever. It is what it is. That's my idea that's why I gave you guys that practice sheet on Friday. And I want to go over a couple parts of it today. And I have some more angles and stuff for us to work on tonight. Obviously, over the course of the next few days. And I'll see you guys officially, Tuesday? I don't see you. Oh, yeah, tomorrow's Tuesday. Sorry. So I'll see you guys Wednesday, and then Thursday. Then do I see you Friday or no? I see you Friday, right?
Yeah.
So.
Will you mind that's the honors ice cream?
Is it on Friday?
Yeah. So depending on how many of us made the honor roll, you may have. Well, gosh, you may have a.
All right, so let's start with that sheet that I gave you guys. What I want to do here is show you guys the importance of why I put these coterminals to start with. Because everything you do in trig depends on a coterminal angle because we're looking at its reference. The whole idea of finding the reference is being able to find that coterminal angle because everything is built out of it. Okay? What I want to do is just jump right over to 4. That is the part. You want to take 2 of them? I'll take B.
How they finish at the same time.
It is. They must have been sitting next to each other. You guys sit next to each other.
They totally were.
They totally were. All right, negative 17 pi over 9. It's almost 2 pi. Do you agree? Yeah. 2 pi would be 18 over 9. When you are negative, you're going the other direction. Coming over here, and how much pi is left?
How much pi is left? Not enough.
Not enough, exactly. There's never enough. Now, if you look at the instructions were asking you to find your coterminal angle within 1 revolution, between 0 and 2 pi. That's what that looks like. You're not trying to find a positive and a negative value. You're just trying to find it within 1 revolution. Nice. And then just go.
Probably talk to the question before. With the sensor. Do you have to answer my answer?
No, I didn't. Yeah.
Okay, I was confused.
And I forgot to tell all you guys about that. No big deal. So you're spinning around to get to find the reference.
Something smells fishy. They all cheated. You can make it my way.
I should have used different versions. That would have been better. Oh well. Anyway, does that make sense? Why we're spinning around?
Yes.
To find, and obviously pi over 9 is not something that we can find because it doesn't match up to one of our angles.
Right?
Pi over 9? Oh, I don't remember. It's 20, I believe. Okay.
Oh, you're right. Hey, how dare you?
Just
Being high
divide
up.
9.
8 pi over 3. Negative 8 pi over 3. Is that more or less than 2 pi? It's more. Guys, enough please. This is the same thing as saying negative 2 and 2/3 pi. You okay on that? So as you spin them around, I keep asking me to buy stuff and I keep saying that it's easier just to write it once. When you spin it around, there's negative 2 pi. Now 2/3, this is where a lot of you guys screw up. Is 2/3 more or less than half?
More.
Freaking oh, I thought you meant like the whole graph. So I was like,
It's more than halfway. Because remember, going from 0 to pi is 1 pi. 2/3 would be coming up and over. How much do you have left to get back up?
45 degrees.
Try again. Pi over 3, that's 60 degrees. So you're looking at your, to come back up, but that's your reference angle. What is the angle there in the 3rd quadrant that has the reference of 60? 240 or 4 pi over 3, good. That's how you build around.
Coach, whoever knows stuff is on the test, do you want to answer it degrees?
I'll take it. Yeah, it's usually right. Okay. What? That's why it's easier to draw it. Write it as the mixed number and draw it to find yourselves out. It's much easier to do that because you're visualizing where it's going to be placed within a quadrant, so you can find the values easier. And you'll be able to identify signs, SIGNs, cleaner. Okay? As you get into the next groupings, find the exact value. That's the same thing as evaluate. What is the value of sine at negative 600 degrees? Well, first thing you got to figure out, tangent. First thing you got to figure out is where is it? What is its reference angle? What is the value? Olivia, did you grab one of those? That's right, if I gave you one of that. What's that? Okay. Negative 600 degrees. Bless you.
To the second quadrant.
Yes. We're going negative. You're spinning around almost more than once, because here's 360. If I went all the way around, it'd be 720, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm coming back to 540 and up 60. So my reference angle is 60 degrees. It's in the second quadrant. So that means my x coordinate is negative. So it's -1 here. Opposite is the √3 and 2. This was asking for the tangent. Tangent, what over what? What's the tangent of negative 600? Negative √3. Yeah, because I placed it. Remember, your theta values are always placed at the term or at the origin. So by placing it on that quadrant, knowing that the opposite is the √3, and it vertical at that part because it's the opposite are always the verticals. It went up, but it went to the left, so that means that's negative for the x value. Okay. Sine negative 315. If I'm doing sine negative 315, I'm just spinning to the first quadrant, and what's my reference angle?
45.
What's the sine of 45? √2/2. Remember, the idea here is your reference becomes a 45, 1, 1, √2.
One of them came out to be 0 is cosine of negative 630. What do we put for the, like the answer to that besides the angle?
For what? Sorry?
Number 10, it's cosine of negative 630.
What? I'm not there yet. All right. Here, it's √2/2. Because it's first quadrant, opposite over hypotenuse, 1/√2, and that's how these things build themselves out. Okay? $10.50. Let's see, that's what? 729. 1080 is 3. 1 revolution. 2 revolution. 3. And your reference angle is what?
30.
30. So when we draw that out, we know that we have a 30, 60, 90, 30-degree reference. My adjacent, or my opposite here is the 1, but see how it goes downward on the opposite? So that means it's -1. My adjacent is the √3 and 2. What's my tangent? -3. Is it the veil of fogginess ever so slightly lifting?
Yeah.
This is the type of stuff that you have to do in order to evaluate. Figure out where you're placed. Identify, writing things down is also helpful too. Come on. Sorry. Wasting my time like that. -630. When you spin around, I believe it's vertical, right, Zach?
Yeah.
Okay. When you spin around, you wind up on a quadrangle. And when you're on a quadrangle, you have to imply, or you're not imply, you have to actually do a little bit more thinking here about what everything means. When you're on the quadrangle, your ordered pair here is at 0 and 1. Whenever you're on a quadrangle, your R value is always going to be equal to what? 1. The pure definition of cosine from back in 13.2 is your cosine value was x over r. So the cosine is x over r, which is 0 over 1, which is what? 0. Yes, ma'am?
When you're doing the stuff that's on the quadrangle, can you just like use the quadrants because you said that they're gonna end up being cosine sine?
Yes.
I jumped to that.
Please do. Please do. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just showing why it's 0 again. I'm just taking that extra step here. If you know that, okay, it's cosine sine, go, done. What would be the secant of that?
Zero.
It's undefined. Because what's the opposite of 0? Undefined. What is the cosecant of that? 1. Because the inverse of 1 is 1. That's how those work. Okay? You just flip it. It's 6, right? Okay, is that clear that up on the quadrant?
Good job.
Yeah.
Why would it be?
Why would it be, what's the sign the sign there is 1. What's the inverse of sine? What's the inverse of 1? 1.
You're already in park.
Let's try a couple of the radius ones. Radians. The trick, it does, doesn't it? A lot of the radian stuff, hopefully you're starting to identify what triangle you are with by the denominator. If the denominator is a 4, what triangle are you in? If it's a 6,
30, 60, 90.
now what's the reference angle if the denominator is 4?
45.
It's always going to be 45. If the denominator is a 6, what should it be?
30.
It's just a matter of where it's placed in what quadrant, so you understand what the sign, S-I-G-N, is going to wind up at. It's the whole idea of getting that reference angle, find the coterminality of it, figuring that part out. Negative 19 pi over 4. It's a smidge less than 5 pi. Do you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So we count. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little pies, 4 little, 5 almost pies.
So it's a 45 degree angle.
It's a 45. That's a horribly bad 45 degree. Make this a little bit better. So it's
If I can't do that on the park, then what's the point of doing it on the computer?
So is everybody okay? That's a 45 degree reference angle.
Yeah.
All right. We know it's a 45 degree reference angle. I'm in the third quadrant, so it's -1, -1, and root 2. What is the tangent value of 45 then?
1.
1.
I didn't.
It's the idea of figuring out where it's placed to plot it. You're shaking your
No,
head.
this makes so much sense. Like, I don't even know how I did bad on this quiz. Like, this is so simple.
Same.
You guys
I get
overthink
I
it.
didn't
We
know
probably
how to
misread
evaluate that.
the directions.
That's it, yeah. You put the wrong emphasis on the syllable or whatever.
Was actually a thing on our like chart?
No,
No?
no.
Then how do you know where that is?
How do I know where it ends?
Yeah, how do you know where like it is?
Okay. I do agree that this is almost 5 pi. This is 4
Yeah.
and, what is it, 4 3/4 pi. So what I did is I went around, there's 2, 4, this is 3/4 and here, because this is a half. So that's why I was going 1 little, 2 little, 3 little pi, that's why I was doing that. There's trust, as crazy as it sounds, there is a reason that I do stupid things.
What if just like during your final this semester they all just like broke up one little
That would be kind of funny. I would probably
like
laugh.
in unison?
We're all on the same question.
You guys are all looking at the clock waiting for like, what's going to wait.
Question number 1.
Sorry.
We all have
Is it? You guys are looking at the time. It's 11 o'clock. We got to sing our pie song.
It's
-5 and 1 and pi over 6. 1 pi over 6. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
You walk through it again. Ready? Sing with me. 1 little, 2 little, 3 little pi, 4 little, 5 little, and a 6 pi. So now your reference angle is 30 degrees because it's, what's wrong? What?
I don't get this.
You don't need to get the song. It's
He's
just
counting the amount. Yeah, it says it's the opposite of sine, and it's going to be 2.
now I'm in the second quadrant, which means my adjacent value is the negative. My opposite is positive. My radius is still 2. Yeah, Emma?
Okay, I just have a question. Are we ever gonna go back to like math where it's like numbers, is pi ever gonna be like a number, like a decimal ever again? Is that ever gonna matter? Okay.
Okay. Cosecant here. Cosecant is the opposite of what? So if sine would be opposite over hypotenuse, cosecant would be?
Hypotenuse over
What's
opposite.
the cosecant of negative 31 pi over 6?
2 over 1 or 2.
Your answer is 2.
Why is your answer 2? I'm sorry, this is the last letter.
The cosecant is the inverse of sine. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so cosecant is hypotenuse over opposite. 2 over 1.
Okay, I gotta write that.
Those last four points.
Real fast, just in case you forgot what this meant.
Pythagorean theorem.
All this is Pythagorean theorem.
Okay, I didn't know, I know
If-
it's like that.
If this is the case, this is you pick a theta, oops,
8, 15, 7. Pythagorean.
it is a triple. You pick a theta, there's your opposite, there's your hypotenuse, that's your adjacent, because it's Pythagorean triple. That's all it
I
is.
did not remember any of
Okay.
it.
What's the cotangent? So cotangent is the inverse of what trig function?
Tangent.
Tangent's opposite over adjacent, so cotangent would be
Adjacent over
15 over 8. And couldn't get away from the buffet, 15 over 8.
That's a neat slap.
That's the
That's part of their degree.
That joke is funny from Allie too.
They get a huge textbook.
It's kind of like,
inserting their
find the
class that
vowel.
they teach.
You!
kind of sad.
Find the vowel!
So I guess that was an easy
There's another Allie. I don't want to be confused with Allie. She also takes on.
Okay. Back to the last bit. Find the exact value. What is the theta? What is the angle that has a sine value equal to 1? Which means you have to start to think again. Sine is placed between pi over 2, negative pi over 2. It's a value of 1, so it's going to be on one of these 3 spots. 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, negative 1. Which one of those has the sine value of 1
1, 0.
at 90 degrees? Otherwise known as? There you go. And you go to the next question. Remember,
Should we give everything in radians and just ask for
when you're trying to find this, do both. Okay, because it shows you between those values. Okay. Cosine. Cosine goes between 0 and pi. It's looking for a cosine value that's equal to 1, which means it's going to be on one of these 3 quadrantals. 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0. Which one of those points has a cosine value of 1? At 1, 0, so what's my answer? 0. If 0 is in radians, what's its degree?
0.
Does you have to write it down twice?
Yes.
Kind of forgot how you told me to do the tangent of 1. I kind of forgot what you told me there.
The tangent value of 1?
Yeah, you said it's like
Okay. When you have tangent of, you start the same way. You figure on tangent goes between pi over 2, negative pi over 2, exclusive. You don't include the pi over 2 because it's plus your asymptote.
I can say
Oh, that is just a.
Tangent equal to 1. Well, if tangent's going to be equal to 1, that means, think about what the tangent means. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. If the tangent value is going to be equal to 1, what angle has the same opposite and adjacent? 45. At 45 degrees,
no.
your opposite and adjacent are both 1. So that means this is at 45, 4 pi over 4. Okay? No, I forget half the time anyway. Okay?
That's your hint. That,
Cosine. Cosine, 1/2. Start by figuring out your parameters for cosine. You're bounded between here and here, between 0 and pi. 1/2. Which of the two triangles gives you 1/2? 30, 60, 90. Good. So I know that in a 30, 60, 90, √3, 2. Which one of those has the cosine of a half? 60. 60 has the cosine of a half, otherwise known as pi over 3. Okay. Tangent negative, √3 over 3.
It's negative 30.
Okay. Tangent values, obviously you're going to have the √3, so it's going to be your 30, 60, 90. So you draw it out again. To give you a tangent value of √3 over 3, which one of those would it have to be?
30.
30, because it's 1 over √3,
Negative.
but it's negative, so that means it's got to be a negative 30 degrees. So this is the opposite that is the -1, and then your adjacent's the √3. So your answer is negative 30 degrees, or negative pi over 6. Yes, ma'am? Why is it not 330?
Because you said before that you could do the 360 minus your reference angle, and is that not for this, or?
When you're doing this one, since your reference angle is negative 30, how far is it off the x-axis? 30. 30 is your reference angle. Okay. When you're doing these, remember that your parameter for finding the angle, the tangent values go between 90 and negative 90, pi over 2, negative pi over 2. That's why we're saying that's negative 30. Yes?
So is the correct reference angle 30 or negative
30, because you're off 30 degrees. Okay. Jessica, you were about to ask something.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
Yeah.
about the why isn't it 3 and 30?
It's negative. The answer is negative 30, because that's the angle that it happened. I was using 30 as the reference. Okay. But remember that this value, in order to get the negative √3 over 3, it has to be into that fourth quadrant, because your opposite's the negative value. Okay. Don't worry about 30. I wrote that wrong.
But is the answer 12 or 5?
And last one here real quick, just so you understand this. This asks you, what is the tangent of the sine of the angle that has a sine value of a half? What is the tangent of the angle that has a sine value of a half? So you start at what is the angle that has a sine of negative 1/2, excuse me. And then you find its tangent.
34.
Start with the sine value. It's going to be over here because it's negative, so we know that. Yes, ma'am?
So just to start, like, how they almost come in, it's almost like it almost why is always written the answer is that actually affecting it? Or
Yeah, because this is asking you what is the angle that has a sine value of negative 1/2.
So what happens when there's not removing, like when it's just like sine negative 1?
You won't do that problem. Then you have to, if it's sine of 1/2, negative 1/2, then you have to use a calculator. You're thinking two different things right now.
Okay, then like are the ones that are like sines of those negative or are those going to be the same thing?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, we're good. Yeah, we're good.
So this is obviously going to have to be the -1 and 2 root 3. So this is your, got to be a negative 30-degree angle. So what is the tangent then of negative 30? Well, the tangent here is negative 1 over root 3. So your answer is negative root 3 over 3. The tangent of the angle whose sine is negative 1/2 is negative root 3 over 3. What I want you guys to do is, if you haven't completely finished this one out, keep working on it. It's going to take us a few days to get back together to try to see what's going on. And then I have some more of the evaluate style, where here's the angle, what's its sine, what's its cosine, that kind of thing. What's up? Yeah, but it's written wrong. It should be 4 or 5. Yeah, but it's written incorrectly to show that. I realized it after I made it all.
Also thinking that because I was being lazy, I just really get this.
Okay, just want to make sure. On these here, obviously these are all just, they're not inverses, they're just, all right, what is the sine of 300 degrees? Rotate it into the correct quadrant and find it, okay? That's what that means. Find the value. No, they do. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe after everybody's done it in a room, maybe, but I don't know. You guys have to tell me. Unless you have 8-hour lunch. 9th hour.